The sleeping dog lie. You don't want to go after Eric Lindros or Mark Messier. I mean, pick on somebody else, but not those two guys.
Well, I think the Russians are showing a lot of determination in that regard, but you're right. Brendan Shanahan touched on it when he was talking to Gordon Ryan, and when you look at the score and you look at all the other things, the most important thing that Canada can get out of these pre-tournament games is to try and get some chemistry. And they have some adversity. They go down 3-1, and then there's the incident where Lindros gets butt-ended, and the next thing you know, they've got a cause to rally around, and they've got some emotion, they've got some enthusiasm, and all of a sudden you see Mark Messier and you see Eric Lindros doing the physical things they have to do, and then all of a sudden the entire chemistry, and it's like it's a bonding exercise. The team is starting to come together in its own way, and I'm sure after this game, regardless of what the outcome is, they will take a lot of positives from the emotion, the enthusiasm, and that bonding and that spirit and camaraderie that you develop as a hockey team.
And you know what? We've really seen it from this Canadian team through their previous two exhibition matches as well. We will take a short break. Canada has narrowed the gap to within one as Paul Coffey scores on the power play. We're back in just a moment.
This summer, TSN and Subway want you to put a bite on us to win. Win one of 6 weekly baseball or football prize packs, and all correct entries will qualify to win a grand prize trip to 2 World Series games or a trip to this year's Grey Cup game. Get an entry at participating Subway stores, then tune in and look for the Subway Bite during TSN baseball and CFL broadcasts, and mail in each week for a chance to win.
You didn't tell me.
You never asked.
But I thought we had everything in common.
We do. We're both great tasting, except that I'm low in fat.
Low in fat?
Yeah.
You say it like it's no big deal.
Kellogg's Rice Krispie Squares have always been low in fat. Hey, now you know.
Who'd have guessed?
What's it like? Kind of hard to describe.
Come on, you gotta tell us.
Okay, it's like we're all great tasting.
Yeah.
But I'm low in fat.
Low in fat must be nice.
Kellogg's Rice Krispie Squares have always been low in fat. Hey, now you know.
You're so lucky.
A diamond engagement ring is the ultimate symbol of a lasting partnership. Enter the Perfect Partners Perfect Diamonds contest at People's Jewelers. You and your partner could win a diamond engagement ring and a trip to Florida. Or you could win one of 3 $1,500 diamond solitaire necklaces. Pick up a contest entry at People's Jewelers. Name the sports partners matched with a sport in which they compete, and deposit your entry in the ballot box at any People's store. Like a perfect partnership, a diamond is forever.
Welcome back to our World Hockey Control studio. When you think of Wayne Gretzky, Mark Messier, and Paul Coffey, you immediately think of the Edmonton Oilers. That's where it's all began. And the man that orchestrated that team was Glenn Sather. They are now reunited again. To be labeled a sports dynasty is a distinction reserved for only a chosen few teams. The Edmonton Oilers of the mid-'80s were just that. But prior to that success, they were tutored by the Islanders dynasty in the spring of '83. Lessons were learned, experiences committed to memory. Wayne Gretzky and company continued to grow and mature, finally staking claim to their first Stanley Cup the following year. Besides Gretzky, many Oilers were coming into their own, and the nucleus of the team was called upon to represent the country in the Canada Cup in the fall of '84.
After that puck, Donnelly ducks the check. Back on the blue line. Here's another shot.
Coming off our first Stanley Cup in '84, getting thrown right into a tournament of that stature was incredible for me. I think playing against that talent, playing with that kind of talent, playing against that kind of talent, for me it was the first time that I ever had been in a tournament with that kind of pace and that kind of level of hockey.
You know, unfortunately, the final was a little anticlimactic. I mean, we ended up playing Sweden and beating them 2 straight, but for us, the real big game was to beat the Russians. It was a great hockey game. I think it ended up 3-2 with the overtime goal, and it was up and down, and it was a great relief for us as well as the whole country, I think.
We played so poorly throughout the tournament, we barely snuck into the final round, and we finished 4th, and we had to play the Russians again. And of course, it was a 1-game elimination in the semifinals, and we were fortunate enough to win and get by that and move on to the finals. But anytime you play the Soviets, it's always tough, and that game was one of the tougher games.
The man known as Slats rubber-stamped his Oiler teams and orchestrated an upset of sorts in the Canada Cup when Team Canada entered the tournament still stinging from the 8-1 embarrassment of 1981.
We got into that tournament and the Russians were so dominating at that point that everyone was really intimidated with them. And we had talked the team into believing that the way to beat them would be to forecheck them. And we kept them bottled up in their own end pretty much of the night. And it was a series of things happen, I guess, that led to us being able to beat those guys.
During the game, his biggest strength, I think, is that his ability to read who's in the game and who's not in the game, and to be able to put out the right players in key situations and right situations. And I think those are qualities that make him a good coach.
Despite being able to push all the right buttons for Team Canada and his own club, Sather could not control the new economics of the NHL. The Oilers simply couldn't keep all of their talented stars.
You know, I think after we'd won the fourth Stanley Cup, somebody asked me a question of who was going to be able to beat us. And I said I didn't think any team in the league was going to beat us. We were going to beat by money.
As the money issue began to take its toll on the Oilers, the Canada Cup began to have more meaning as the trio were reunited by duty and country. 4 years later, the three former teammates were once again pillars of leadership as Team Canada won its fourth Canada Cup. Now it would appear as though the inaugural World Cup will be the final curtain call for these three future Hall of Famers. No one is taking the experience for granted.
The greatest thing about playing is an opportunity to win, and those are the memories you always remember. We grew up together as kids. We had a lot of fun together. And, you know, we realized this may be our last international tournament together.
The most important thing, the thing I enjoy the best is, you know, I talk to Wayne frequently over the year. I talk to Mark probably less, you know, when we play against each other and that. But you just seem to pick up where you left off.
Now, one would have to believe that for Mark Messier, Wayne Gretzky, and Paul Coffey, this will be it in terms of a major international tournament. And they are
all
still
making noise about coming back for the Olympics, but you never know. We'll have to wait and see on that
You
one.
really don't know. And they are definitely, without a doubt, in the dressing room, the leaders for the respective team. But they need some help from the supporting cast.
Well, I don't think there's any question when you look at that Oiler connection. It's pervasive, and the attitude is, and the young guys like Brendan Shanahan, Eric Lindros, look up to those guys. But I don't think there's any question, and anybody would argue the point, that if Canada is going to be successful in this tournament, it's going to have a great performance from a guy like Eric Lindros, Joe Sakic, one of the young defensemen, whether it's Rob Blake or Niedermeyer or Ed Jovanovski. Someone's going to have to step forward and elevate their play so they can get up into a Coffey-like stature. So it really gets to a situation where you've almost got to have Lindros playing as well or better than Messier, and you've got to have Joe Sakic playing as well or better than Gretzky, and one of the young defensemen playing as well or better than Paul Coffey. And if those things happen, then Canada will be in very good shape, because you know that you're going to get the great leadership from that core of Oilers, ex-Oilers, especially Mark Messier.
Speaking of the Moose, tomorrow night they will be in his hometown Edmonton as Canada wraps up its exhibition schedule against Slovakia. Tonight, Slovakia in Providence, Rhode Island, as they took on the Americans, and this one was not even close. Chris Chelios takes the pregame skate. He's back in the lineup. As for the start, Doug Weight takes control. On the breakaway, the backhand as he goes top shelf. It's 1-0.
Tell you what, Doug Weight, the Edmonton Oilers, they got to get this guy signed. Terrific goal, going to the backhand, goes right upstairs. Big league goal that was. All USA in this one. They're up 2-0. Now they're on the power play. Phil Housley with the shot from the point, tipped by John LeClair in front. Slovaks have a tough time with the big physical presence. 3-0 at the end of one.
Then it's Dougie Weight again with a fantastic pass. He threads the needle to Brett Hull, who definitely does not make any mistake. It's 5-1. Then it's Weight streaking in. He'll drop it for Housley. 6-1 for the U.S.
Slovaks completely outclassed in this one. Lots of turnovers to deal with. Lots of good forechecking by Team USA. And Bill Guerin of the New Jersey Devils comes in, goes to the forehand, and caps off 4 goals in 2 minutes and 35, gives the Americans a 7-1 lead.
There was some bad news for the Americans. Sigmund Palpe with a shot. He let it fly. Doug Weight took it off the foot. He had to leave this hockey game for x-rays. His status at this present time is not known. Brett Hull also had to leave this game for x-rays. We'll try and get updates on the two of them a little bit later on in the show. Now, you mentioned earlier that Jeremy Roenick, there's a possibility that he might join that U.S. team. What's your gut feeling, and what do you hear? Is it going to happen?
Well, it's funny you should ask, because what I did, I hopped on the phone tonight and I called Neil Abbott, the agent for Jeremy Roenick. He's a Boston-based lawyer. Said that his feel on the situation as far as Roenick is concerned is I won't rule out Jeremy playing in the World Cup, but I wouldn't be too optimistic. What you should know is that Neil Abbott and Jeremy Roenick are flying to Phoenix tomorrow to meet with Coyotes general manager John Paddock. It'll be the first face-to-face meeting that they've had with the Coyotes since Phoenix traded for Jeremy Roenick. They're going to talk contract. Neil Abbott told me under no circumstances will Jeremy Roenick play in the World Cup of Hockey unless he has a contract, and whether he can do it that quickly and be ready for the beginning of the tournament later this week remains to be seen. He's not optimistic. He says he won't rule it out, but Jeremy Roenick's also got a lot of things. His house is selling in Chicago this week. It's closing. He's packing up. So Chris Chelios is back in the U.S. lineup. That's great news for the Americans. Probably less of a chance of Roenick being in the lineup, although there is that small outside chance that he could be there come opening day.
And boy, wouldn't they love to have him in the lineup,
There's a spot for him there.
Especially if Doug Weight goes down due to injury. Weight's the only player on that roster who had over 100 points this past year. He had 104 with the Edmonton Oilers. He truly is an up-and-coming superstar in the National Hockey League, and I think if Weight goes down, Slats winces a little bit as well. We're going to continue here. It's Canada and Russia. It's now 3-2 after 2 periods of play, but there's still more to come when we return.
World Cup of Hockey live at the intermission is brought to you by Pepsi Stuff. People who drink it, get it. Ends October 31st.
If you want full Office Suite power at a word processor price, look no further than Corel WordPerfect Suite. Corel WordPerfect Suite includes an exceptionally intelligent word processor, an award-winning spreadsheet, amazing presentation graphics, plus
Beautiful, baby.
business graphics and utilities, hundreds of fonts and thousands of clip art images. Corel WordPerfect Suite delivers Office Suite power at a word processor price.
A diamond engagement ring is the ultimate symbol of a lasting partnership. Enter the Perfect Partners Perfect Diamonds contest at People's Jewelers. You and your partner could win a diamond engagement ring and a trip to Florida. Or you could win one of 3 $1,500 diamond solitaire necklaces. Pick up a contest entry at People's Jewelers. Name the sports partners matched with a sport in which they compete, and deposit your entry in the ballot box at any People's store. Like a perfect partnership, a diamond is forever.
When you need a sealant that's got to stick, Mono Ultra does the trick. Mono Ultra. When it calls for the best, the choice is clear. There won't be anything like it for years. Mono Ultra. It works in the sun. It works in your shower. You wash up with water and hang it in an hour. Exterior ceiling's a whole new drill with Mono Ultra. It cures fast, it won't shrink or crack, and it's completely paintable. Mono Ultra. Get the Mono.
Paul Coffey supplies us with our play of the period. It's brought to you by Chrysler Canada, and on the power play, we move within 1. The shot from the point goes through a little bit of traffic. This is what you were talking about, having a physical presence like Eric Lindros.
Well, good job by Lindros to get in front, but a good shot by Coffey. And power play, so important in this game. We're going to see a lot of that in this tournament. Special teams, there's so much talent on the offense when they go on the power play.
The play of the period is brought to you by Chrysler Canada. We're not just building cars, we're building Canada. Russia leads by a count of 3-2. We'll take another break, and when we return, it's the third period of play.
My name is John McMulkin.
My name is Peter May.
And our company builds dinosaurs. I'm the numbers man.
I guess come in, build a dinosaur, and go home. But we have clients all over the world.
International communication via the telephone, that is our link to our clients. We have to be competitive in our pricing. Advantage helps us to save those costs that are necessary.
And ensure we don't go extinct.
Advantage, providing solutions for business.
Hi, I'm Sparky Anderson. Tune in to TSN's Blue Jays telecast and watch for my on-the-ball features. Brought to you by Gillette's $250,000 Triple Play Challenge. Coming soon to a retailer near you.
Presenting Gillette Clear Gel Antiperspirant. A clear, clean gel that goes on smoothly with no white residue for effective all-day protection. Gillette Clear Gel Antiperspirant.
Through 2 periods of play in Calgary, Canada trails Russia 3-2 in World Cup pre-tournament action. Just 1 goal to report from the second period. It comes on the power play at 6:33. Paul Coffey's point shot brings Canada within 1. The shots on goal through 2 periods of play favor Canada 24-15 after they outshot the Russians 15-9 in the second period. The second period summary is brought to you by Chrysler. Well, it won't appear on the scoring summary, Ryan, but the score is 3-1 for Eric Lindros on Sergei Gonchar. Think back to earlier in the second period when Gonchar hit Lindros high up by the Canadian bench, and Lindros actually had to go to the Canadian dressing room. Great concern for Team Canada at that point, but then Lindros came back, and this happened.
Yeah, there's the response right here. Lindros had him lined up. That's a good, clean hit if Gonchar would have had the puck, but it was the repayment for that high butt end by Gonchar and Lindros.
Now, the question is, Canada can do that now, but is that the kind of thing that can happen during the tournament?
Well, it certainly can make an impact in a game, can't it? But the key is, again, discipline. The end result is you want to win the game. I think it's a payback. It's a good time to do it here in the pre-tournament.
Looking at this hockey game, too, we talked about it before the game. Team Canada's defense was in question. What do you think of the D tonight?
I think Adam Foote's done an excellent job of being up on the play. He's created some hits. Jovanovski's done a great job. I think he's stepped right in. I'm impressed with him here tonight. Scott Stevens is solid. Paul Coffey's played his game, so I think so far so good.
And Paul Coffey with the goal that brings Canada within 1. Back with the third period when our coverage of the 1996 World Cup of Hockey continues right after this.
NEBS is a direct marketer. Things like checks and forms and business cards and labels. You know, being in a small town doesn't hinder our business at all. The majority of our customers use either the Advantage toll-free phone or fax lines.
And really, the 1-800 lines are the lifeline between us and our customers. We've had an increase of about 35%.
If our 1-800 lines went down, we'd be out of business.
Advantage, providing solutions for business.
Getting a trimmer, flatter tummy just got easier. Hi, I'm Joanne McLeod.
I'm Hal Johnson. The Body Break Ab Master from Quality Fitness is the first product we're confident enough to put our name on.
With AbMaster, men and women of all ages and fitness levels can get a firmer, flatter stomach in just 7 minutes a day. There's also a free workout video and instruction guide to help you along. Feel great and get toned with the Body Break AbMaster. In stores now.
Back in Calgary, the players returning to the ice for the third period World Cup pre-tournament action here in Calgary. The tournament itself begins tomorrow. Germany takes on Sweden in a game that we'll show you at 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 Pacific tomorrow. On Tuesday, the Czech Republic plays Finland. On Wednesday, Germany plays Finland. And it continues on Thursday with the Czech Republic and Sweden, and 2 games on Friday. Russia takes on Slovakia in Montreal, and we'll have Finland against Sweden and Slovakia against the USA on September the 3rd from Madison Square Garden in New York. All these games on TSN, and a great schedule to begin the World Cup of Hockey. Here in Calgary, it's 3-2, and once the popcorn's done, what are you going to do? Well, if your buddy's got a hat, you got to have one too, I guess. Good crowd here at the Saddle Dome in Calgary tonight, and hoping to see Canada pull even. And I'll tell you what, you know, some people have said that maybe the World Cup isn't generating the same kind of enthusiasm it did before. And then you look at the lineups for these 2 teams tonight, and all of a sudden you just look at Scott Stevens, Adam Graves, Ron Francis, Mark Messier, Theron Fleury, Rod Brindamore, Steve Yzerman, Joe Sakic, Claude Lemieux, Vincent Damphousse, Adam Foote, Keith Primo, Eric Lindros, Brendan Shanahan, and Wayne Gretzky, and you go, you know what? Pretty good hockey team. I mean, Curtis Joseph told us this morning, he said, in practice, when guys are bearing down on you on 2-on-1s, you know, in your own practice, I mean, half the pucks will end up on the glass. Every shot's a good one.
You know what's fun too, Gord, is this World Cup. When we look at how this has sort of come together, it gives you a bit of a thought of the 98 Olympics in Nagano and how that might come together. Will Gretzky be there? Will Messier be there? You know, I was looking back a while back, and it's amazing to think that in 1920, hockey was a tryout sport in the Summer Olympics. and then was introduced in 1924 in France as the first Olympic sport.
You can bet that Eric Lindros, who won a silver medal in Albertville in 1992, will be front and center in Nagano. Lindros isn't crazy about the Olympic format, but says he looks forward to playing there. A long season for guys like him, and especially when you play physically as he does, it can be a very long year. Just ask Joe Sakic. He's out tonight, just having a rest, but Joe Sakic played 104 regular season and playoff games last year for Colorado, and then had a month and a half off. You talk about Adam Foote leading the rush. Here he does it again for Canada, taken down by Darius Kasparaitis. Claude Lemieux is out there as well, his Colorado teammate. Igor Larionov chips it neatly off the boards and gets it ahead for Sergei Gonchar, who will no doubt be mindful of Eric Lindros' presence on every shift. Here comes the smooth skating Paul Coffey. Quick shot, and Coffey almost got his second goal. Now Coffey plays it back to the line, but his defense partner Scott Niedermayer was playing well back. Here's Lindros with it. Canada in the middle of a line change. Lindros ahead for Trevor Linden, who lost the puck, back to Niedermayer. Lindros trying to hustle off the ice. Brind'Amour just kicks it down into the Russian zone. And Lindros did not head off. He went cross ice and had an opportunity there that was knocked down by Alexei Zhamnov, who blindly back passes it to Sergei Gonchar. And Gonchar plays it down. Scott Stevens will be forced to get it. And actually Mark Messier will pick it up for Canada. 18:47 to play in the third period. So Glenn Sather watching his troops closely, and this is what we've been watching through 2 periods of play. Canada's outchanced the Russians 16-9, out-hit them 13-7. Both teams have a power play goal. Team Canada playing Team Canada playing a busy pre-tournament schedule, back-to-back games against the United States, then traveling here and to Edmonton for a game, and then it's to Vancouver to take on the Russians on Thursday. Mark Messier stepping into those new face-off markings against Alexei Zhamnov. Ron Francis telling us between periods he's not crazy about them, but he says players are already cheating. They've already found a way around it, and you can bet that if there's a way to beat it, Mark Messier will find it. Scott Niedermayer over for Scott Stevens. Gets it ahead for Trevor Linden. And his pass just out of the reach of Mark Messier. Icing waved off as Zhitnik goes back, and Messier had him lined up. But Zhitnik able to avoid that hit. Now Linden for Messier. Messier waits. The shot deflected wide by Dmitry Yushkevich. Now Linden with it. For Stevens. Scott Stevens with a shot. Messier tipped that. It was stopped. Zhamnov. Long lead pass for McGillney breaking in. But Martin Brodeur clears it off the boards. Not out. Now Rod Brind'Amour with it. Brind'Amour's pass broken up. Stevens and Niedermayer, the 2 Scots from New Jersey, setting it ahead for Trevor Linden. Here's Alexander McGillney, lost the puck in his feet. Stevens gets it ahead for Wayne Gretzky. Centering pass for Damphousse, and Damphousse almost got it on the second try. Here comes Kovalev. Kovalev steps around Gretzky. He's got Yashin with him. Kovalev, great moves, but Rob Blake forces him back. Kovalev down low for Yashin. The pass broken up by Wayne Gretzky. Now Kovalev with a shot, blocked by Damphousse. Yashin with it, hammered by Blake. Valerie Bure with it, waiting and trying to get it to Kovalev, but the puck is broken up as Jovanovski gets it. Jovanovski hammers Kovalev, and now here comes Gretzky with Theoren Fleury and Vincent Damphousse. Gretzky for Fleury. His soft shot handled easily by Trefilov, puck up on the back of the net, and Trefilov will hang on as Theoren Fleury takes his shot at Darius Kasparaitis. And we've got a penalty coming up to Kasparaitis, I believe.
Here's what happened, Gord. Kasparaitis was getting sloshing, and then he actually tried to manhandle Dan Marawelli. I think Kasparaitis is going to go for a long time. There's the slash here, right there. You can see that slash on Theoren Fleury. Now watch Kasparaitis. Pause in play. Kasparaitis, as Fleury walks away, actually goes after Marawelli. And I think we're going to see
a double minor to Darius Kasparaitis. Slashing is the first, and unsportsmanlike conduct is the second. So Canada with a long power play opportunity in the hockey game, and Paul Coffey has a power play goal from the second period.
And that's probably a generous response by Dan Marawelli, because anytime you manhandle a referee, you're supposed to be gone.
Canada's 1 for 4 on the power play with 8 shots on goal. Lindros with Fleury and Gretzky. Niedermeyer and Coffey are back at the point. Gretzky got a right on goal off the faceoff. Lindros back to Niedermeyer. For Theoren Fleury. Time, a shot. Bad save made by Trefilov. Trefilov and Brodeur have played the entire game so far. And they would appear to be the starting goaltenders for their respective teams when the tournament opens Thursday for these two clubs. Now Lindros leans into Malakhov, leaves it behind the net for Gretzky. Centering pass, nobody there. Niedermeyer for Coffey. To Lindros. Coffey. For Fleury. One times it over for Niedermeyer, couldn't handle the pass. Gretzky with Lindros in front. Gretzky backhand shot. Lindros looking for the loose puck. And Trefilov with a little butt end on Eric Lindros, who is causing all kinds of headaches for the Russians at both ends of the ice. Wayne Gretzky has fond memories of this building for two reasons. In 1986, he recorded 3 points to give him 215 on the season. That's a all-time regular season scoring mark that still stands. He also scored a short-handed goal here in the playoffs in 1988 against Calgary in overtime, and Edmonton went on to sweep the Calgary Flames.
Well, Wayne Gretzky has been an unbelievable player in my era, and when I say that, I had a chance to play against him in junior, and he was as good then, Gord, as he is now. He really hasn't stopped for, closing in on 2 centuries.
Rob Blake with a shot that was gloved down by Trefilov. Just think about it. If you want to break Wayne Gretzky's NHL record for career goals, you'll have to have 17 consecutive 50-goal seasons. The record's 9 by Mike Bossy. The longest current streak of consecutive 50 goals, I believe, is 5. Messier back to the point. Damphousse with a shot. That's blocked by Kovalenko. Now Damphousse gets it back. Hard shot off a skating line. 3 minutes to go in this double minor. Messier out there with Linden and Verbeek. And Pat Verbeek gets it behind there for his former Ranger teammate, Mark Messier. Damphousse keeps it in. Playing the point on the power play is Vincent Damphousse. Trevor Linden. Fans getting impatient with the Canadian power play. Messier centers it. Almost knocked out by Seamak. Now Messier with it. Back to the point to Blake. Blake tees it up. That shot hit the skate of Yuskevich. Now Linden chipped it to the front of the net. Verbeek couldn't get good wood on it. Blake to Messier. Linden heading off the ice. He broke his stick. Placed by Lindros. Here's Verbeek. Puck taken away from him by Zhitnik and cleared down the ice by Andrei Kovalenko. Russians have killed off the first half of the double minor. Rob Blake with it. Ahead for Gretzky. Coffey in full stride. Coffey gets around the defenseman. Lost the puck. And Kravchuk came back to clear it away. Coffey had beaten him cleanly. Now Fleury. For Paul Coffey in deep. Lindros in front. They can't get the puck to him. Niedermeyer to Lindros. Back to Niedermeyer. Coffey for Niedermeyer. Tees it up. Oh, deflected just wide. I think Theoren Fleury got a piece of that. Now Niedermeyer in front. The puck almost bounced to Gretzky, who tips it back to Coffey. And now the puck is cleared out. Here comes a breakaway for Alexei Zhamnov. Short-handed. Stopped by Brodeur. Lindros brings it back the other way. Drop for Gretzky. Here's Coffey. Tees it up. Pad save by Trefilov. And the Russians bring it right back. McGillney working on Rob Blake. Centers to Zhamnov. Another save by Brodeur. 2 great short-handed chances. And Dan Marawelli, blue play dead. Martin Brodeur showing the form that made him the NHL Rookie of the Year in '94. Caused a standing ovation here in Calgary.
Well, Martin Brodeur just outstares Alexei Zhamnov. Right here, here's the breakaway. Zhamnov takes his time. He's going top corner right here. The puck bobbles, but he doesn't get a top corner enough. Great save by Brodeur with the hand. And now, watch this. Zhamnov gets another shot. Brodeur finds it. Great left hand by Martin Brodeur. You know, Brodeur on that breakaway, you can see how cool he was, Gord. The key to that, apparently, goaltenders tell me, is let the shooter make the first move. Respond to the puck. And Brodeur did that time.
54 seconds to go. The second penalty to Darius Kasparaitis. Canada is on the power play, but has surrendered 2 outstanding shorthanded chances to the Russians. Canada has outshot Russia 30-17 in the hockey game, but trails 3-2. Here comes Niedermayer. In front for Messier, who was brought down. No penalty on the play for Beek. Back to Niedermayer. Wait, sends it in front. Messier walks away and a triple off the save. Rebound! And they can't knock it past the Russian goaltender as Adam Graves was parked right on the doorstep.
Well, most deflections happen by forwards on their backhand. Mark Messier is able to take this deflection on the forehand. Watch Messier on the left-hand side of your screen. Look at that. Forehand deflection and whack. He almost gets it by Trepalov.
Mentioned that Mark Messier's 47 goals were his highest total in 13 years. He scored more goals than any player last year on the Team Canada roster. Team Canada does not have a 50-goal scorer in the lineup tonight. Joe Sakic had 51 last year. You would account for the only 50 goals. Now Lindros with a shot. Graves tipped it wide. 25 seconds to go in the power play, and the Russians are able to get it out. Coffey back for Niedermayer. Looking for Lindros, front of the net, and the pass is broken up by Oleg Tverdovsky. Nicolishin breaks out with Yashin. And now one chance for Canada here, 10 seconds to go. Pass for Messier. Messier streaking down the wing. Shot from the off wing, his trademark, is stopped by Trepalov. The penalty to Kasparaitis has expired. The Russians kill off a 4-minute Canadian power play. And now Lindros takes the lead pass, but it crosses 2 lines. 12:52 to play here in the third period. And Team Canada trails 3-2 thanks to Martin Brodeur keeping them in the game.
This summer, TSN and Subway want you to put a fight on us to win. Win one of 6 weekly baseball or football prize packs, and all correct entries will qualify to win a grand prize trip to 2 World Series games or a trip to this year's Grey Cup game. Get an entry at participating Subway stores, then tune in and look for the Subway Bite during TSN baseball and CFL broadcasts, and mail in each week for a chance to win.
TSN is proud to present the 1996 World Cup of Hockey. Tonight's third period is brought to you by Kellogg's, the best to you each morning.
He's 6'4", 230 pounds. They call him the Presence. And his former teammate, Dmitry Yuskevich, got into it with him here.
Yuskevich, 24-year-old Yuskevich, comes after Lindros and then responds, but you got to wonder what's on his mind right there. Not only have you got Eric Lindros, but you've got to go through his stick.
Those two actually had a very warm greeting this morning, said hello and exchanged pleasantries. But that's over with now. 12:49 to play in the third period. Canada trails by a goal. Canada lost its last pre-tournament game to the U.S. in San Jose after beating the Americans in Vancouver. Now here comes Lindros, winding it up. Lindros got knocked down, and the puck is chipped ahead now. Zhitnik ahead for Kovalenko. Kovalenko stopped by Scott Stevens. Now Gonchar being watched by Primo, and the pass is knocked ahead too far for Claude Lemieux. Icing is waved off. Here comes Yuskevich. Long lead pass for Igor Larionov. Drop for Kovalenko. Andrei Kovalenko with a long shot, stopped by Martin Brodeur. Now Gretzky back the other way with Damphousse. Wayne Gretzky and Vincent Damphousse. Damphousse back for Gretzky. The pass broken up neatly by Darius Kasparaitis. Now Sergei Berezin brings it back. Berezin. Stopped by Jovanovski. Berezin gets it back, and Jovanovski gives him another whack. Jovanovski hammering on Berezin. Damphousse chips it ahead. Here comes Trevor Linden. He's got Rob Blake with him. Linden with a shot. Stopped by Trefilov. Rebound, and Trefilov is able to glove it. 11:33 to go in the third period. Great scoring chances at both ends of the ring.
If you want full office suite power at a word processor price, look no further than Corel WordPerfect Suite. Corel WordPerfect Suite includes an exceptionally intelligent word processor, an award-winning spreadsheet, amazing presentation graphics, plus
Beautiful, baby.
business graphics and utilities, hundreds of fonts and thousands of clip art images. Corel WordPerfect Suite delivers office suite power at a word processor price.
You didn't tell me.
You never asked.
But I thought we had everything in common.
We do. We're both great tasting, except that I'm low in fat.
Low in fat?
Yeah.
You say it like it's no big deal.
Kellogg's Rice Krispie Squares have always been low in fat. Hey, now you know.
Who'd have guessed?
What's it like? Kind of hard to describe.
Come on, you gotta tell us.
Okay, it's like we're all great tasting.
Yeah.
But I'm low in fat.
Low in fat must be nice.
Kellogg's Rice Krispie Squares have always been low in fat. Hey, now you know.
You're so lucky.
Boris Mikhailov, a great player for those Russian national teams back in the 1970s. Now coaching the World Cup entry. Alexander Semak hooked down Rob Blake and goes off. So Team Canada, which had 7 shots on its last power play, will get the man advantage again. Alexander Semak, by the way, scored the overtime winner in Game 1 of the '87 Canada Cup final. All 3 games in that final ended up 6-5.
Team Canada off this power play, Gordon, want a little bit more motion in front of Andrei Trefilov. They've got a guy standing there. They probably want a couple of guys crossing, and of course you've got to have possession before you can do that.
Scott Niedermayer across for Paul Coffey. Coffey trying to get it to Fleury. The pass was broken up, but Coffey was able to get it back. Now Fleury behind the net for Lindros. Over to Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky trying to find Theoren Fleury. Instead goes back to the point to Niedermayer. Now Gretzky chips it ahead. Lindros scores! Eric Lindros ties the game. That's a great pass by Gretzky to Lindros. He chipped it in. It's about a 9-iron shot, and Lindros is able to redirect it on his forehand. Excellent work between Coffey and Gretzky to get the puck down to Lindros. Boy, when that big guy camps there, there's nobody who's going to move him. Eric Lindros from Wayne Gretzky and Paul Coffey. It's 88 from 99 and 77. And it's 3-3. Kozlov brings it back the other way. Poke checked away by Scott Stevens, who's been a tower of strength on the Canadian blue line. Igor Larionov sends it into the Canadian zone. 10:50 to play in the third period. We're tied at 3. Stevens, long lead pass for Lindros. Lindros out there with Primo and Lemieux. Lindros gets around the first man, Malikov, centers it, and Trefilov knocked it away. Primo for Claude Lemieux. Lemieux breaks away, tees it up, and Primo tipped it just wide. Now Messier breaking in there. Larionov knocks it down, and Team Canada has seized control of this hockey game since the latter stages of the second period. Crowd urging the Canadians on as Adam Graves sends it down to the Russian zone. Zhitnik for Nikolishin. He gets it ahead for Zhamnov. Drops it off for McGillney. McGillney, his centering pass is knocked high in the air. Now here comes Messier. Messier with Verbeek and Graves. And the crowd hollering Moose, Moose. Those used to be boos when he played for Edmonton. And the shot from well outside the line taken by Adam Graves as he heads off the ice. Yuskevich. Nikolishin. Hammered by Rod Brind'Amour. Wayne Gretzky picks it up. Verbeek ahead for Brind'Amour, chips it ahead. See, they're juggling his lines now. Gretzky out there with Brind'Amour and Trevor Linden. Now Linden hustling back as Zhamnov breaks in. Zhamnov And the puck hopped over the stick of Nikolishin. Andrei Nikolishin leaves it for Alexander Mogilny. His pass for Zhamnov, broken up by Scott Niedermayer. Niedermayer spent a lot of time in Calgary growing up, has a lot of people here, and Alexander Semak almost had a breakaway. Now Mogilny keeps it in and shoots it wide. And Niedermayer almost got burned in front of all those friends and family. Now a foot race for it. Kasparaitis back there with Gretzky. And Gretzky gave him a bit of a whack and even a bit of a stare on the way by. Eric Lindros' goal has Canada even with Russia at 3.
Music looks like a lot of fun when you're playing, and it is. It's a business, though. You've got to make ends meet. I make 500-600 calls a month. The Advantage program is definitely something that's come into play in a big way. When you're out on the road, you're working 24 hours a day. Checking back with the office, the voicemail. The discounts for me have come in around 30%. It's a sizable chunk of money. It's a long, slow process to an overnight success.
Advantage, providing solutions for business.
Continues on Tuesday. Former Blue Jay Paul Molitor in with the Minnesota Twins. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific here on TSN. All that around World Cup hockey action this week. Here it's 3-3 in Calgary with 8:45 to go. And since the end of the first period, Canada has outshot Russia 29-13. Coffey looking ahead for Messier. Went off the skate of Kovalenko. And Messier gave Trepalov a shot. And he gave him the lumber on the way by. Now Kovalenko plays it behind the net for Darius Kasparaitis. Gonchar. Gingerly up for Alexander Semak. Pass ahead for Sergei Berezin. Berezin fell in front of Paul Coffey. And the Canadians are able to clear it down. Icing is the indication as Kasparaitis goes back to get it. And 8:07 to play in the third period. This game is tied at 3. The game story so far, the Russians scored 2 quick ones in the first, but Canada has come back with 2 power play goals. Eric Lindros tied it. Wayne Gretzky has 2 assists in the game, and Canada out shooting the Russians by a wide margin. This should not be unexpected, Ryan. The Russian teams have traditionally been outshot because they don't tend to take shots from sharp angles.
Yeah, they like to keep possession until a perfect shot comes.
Now Tverdovsky, a soft shot, hit the goalpost. Rebound, Kovalev stopped by Brodeur. That slow roller by Oleg Tverdovsky caromed off the goalpost, and Kovalev had a great chance at the side of the net.
One of the few times that Alexei Yashin has been able to beat Eric Lindros on the draw. And this is just put on net, deflected here, post and out. And watch Valerie Bury go hard into Martin Brodeur trying to get the rebound.
Now a bouncing puck down in the Russian zone. Malikov being watched by Lemieux. Alexei Yashin lost the puck there to Scott Stevens. And it was in turn broken up by Kovalev. Alexei Kovalev, gold medalist in '92 and a Stanley Cup champion in '94. Lost the puck to Lindros, who flips it ahead. And now quick changes by both teams, and the crowd kind of takes a breather here. Maybe exhausted after 2.5 hours of great hockey. Bure drops it for Yashin. That pass is broken up by Stevens, sending it ahead for Rod Brindamore. Chips it ahead for Trevor Linden. But Linden lost the puck. And now Blake sends it in, but the Canadians have to hustle back onside. Yashin with it. Looking ahead for Kovalev. Martin Brodeur can't knock it down. Slava Kozlov from a sharp angle hit the side of the net. Here comes Ed Jovanovski. Jovanovski with that clearing attempt goes high into the crowd. Now to play with 6:53 to go here in the third period. One concern for the Canadians, Ryan, the travel schedule. Thursday in Vancouver against Russia, then Saturday in Philadelphia against the United States, and then Sunday in Montreal against Slovakia. Canada will travel more than any team in North America in the round-robin portion of the tournament.
And the United States team has been setting up their camp in Providence, Rhode Island. So in essence, Gord, they're waiting. There's no doubt that they'll be waiting for the Canadian team when they line up that match as this tournament goes on.
Interestingly enough, all 3 of Canada's games will take place in arenas that are less than a year old. GM Place in Vancouver, the Molson Center in Montreal, and the new Spectrum in Philadelphia, the Core States Center. Offside is the indication at the line as Alexei Zhitnik stepped in, but the teammate was offside. So new Barnes get the workout, and you can see Alexei Zhitnik hasn't got his new equipment yet. He's still wearing the Buffalo Sabres gloves.
That's right.
Traded, as I mentioned, by LA to Buffalo in the Grant Fuhr deal a couple of years ago. He's played in 3 World Championships, the Olympics, the Canada Cup. And he's just 23 years old. And Zhitnik has it now, over for Dmitry Yushkevich. Slava Kozlov had it knocked away by Messier, who gets it ahead for Coffey. Coffey with Messier and Verbeek. Messier down low for Verbeek. Verbeek side of the centers, and Graves scores! Adam Graves, 4-3 Canada.
Well, you had an idea that cycling the puck down low was going to reward this Canadian team, and it does with the winning goal by Adam Graves. Verbeek picks it up, shovels it in front, and Graves redirects it past Andrei Trefilov, and that all began with the cycle. Canadians are cycling down low and were rewarded on that one.
Which means repeatedly throwing it in the corner, right? Just setting it down low.
Well, I think it was an excellent setup, though, by Mark Messier. He knew that Verbeek was going to retain the puck.
Graves for Messier and Verbeek at 13:43. Now, Primo for Claude Lemieux. Back to Coffey. Canada leads for the first time since the first, and almost adds to it as that puck bounces into the glove of Trefilov. And now Verbeek, or Lemieux rather, is back down in there with Darius Kasparaitis. Yes, Claude Lemieux always popular in international and National Hockey League games.
If there's a scrum, Claude's in the middle of it if he's on the ice.
Well, there's Adam Graves. Well documented that Adam Graves had back surgery. In fact, the timing of it couldn't have been better. It came right during the NHL lockout. Adam Graves missed only 1 game last year. In fact, has missed only 1 game in the last 5 years, despite having major back surgery.
Talked to Adam Graves actually this morning, and he's telling me he had a good summer, or so far a good summer in Toronto. A lot of these guys have spent the last 2 months preparing for this World Cup.
Graves was outstanding for the Rangers in the playoffs last year. 7 goals in 10 postseason games for New York. Now the Russians bring it back. Zhamnov. Poke check by Adam Foote. Now Gretzky sends it ahead for Trevor Linden. Gonchar took a bump from Brindamore. McGillney has poke checked neatly. Now Gonchar with it. What is it about Canada-Russia games in Calgary? They always seem so close. And this one far from done. Now Brindamore sends it in. Malakoff picks it up. Gretzky looking to pick it up against McGillney. Gretzky gets it back for Stevens. Backhands to the front. Zhamnov knocked that down. And Alexei Zhamnov winds it up for the Russians. And Zhamnov lost the puck at his skates and will have to regroup as Canada changes lines. Messier, Graves, and Verbeek are back out there for Canada. Here comes Tverdovsky, the defenseman leading the rush. Tverdovsky goes in and pulls over Martin Brodeur. Doesn't get a shot away. Now Yashin, poked away by Messier. Yashin hooks him down, and Alexei Yashin will be penalized for hooking down Mark Messier. The 35-year-old Messier forces the 22-year-old Yashin to hook him down.
If you want full Office Suite power at a word processor price, look no further than Corel WordPerfect Suite. Corel WordPerfect Suite includes an exceptionally intelligent word processor, an award-winning spreadsheet, amazing presentation graphics, Plus,
Beautiful, baby.
business graphics and utilities, hundreds of fonts and thousands of clip art images. Corel WordPerfect Suite delivers Office Suite power at a word processor price.
I'm here at Skydome with Circle researcher Sheila Forbes. Domes, diamonds, circles, this is all coming out of left field.
No, Dean, it's right over the pitcher's mound. But you'll notice the baseball diamond has been transformed into a circle.
Fascinating. Any clues?
Well, Dean, we found traces of chocolate and peanut butter on this baseball.
Reese Peanut Butter Cups, a close encounter of real milk chocolate and peanut butter.
I guess this time they've really thrown you a curveball.
No, it's a Rawlings.
Alexei Yashin got caught flat-footed and hooked down Mark Messier.
And the key to this one is that Messier keeps his feet moving along the boards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strides, and you can see that's why Yashin pulled him down.
And so Team Canada goes back to the power play with 4:40 to play in the third period. Remember, though, Russia had 2 outstanding shorthanded chances on a Canadian power play opportunity earlier. Rob Blake brings it ahead for Canada. LA King fans will be watching his progress in the tournament closely. Lindros takes a hard bump. Gretzky behind the net for Fleury. Blake to Fleury. Canada 3 wide of the blue line. Now Fleury down low for Gretzky. Gretzky waits. Centers it. Lindros was knocked down, and Lindros tomahawked Dmitry Yushkevich. Chopped them down like a tree. I guess they won't be going to any Flyer reunions together. Now Kovalenko, short-handed. Stopped from behind by Coffey. Kovalenko gets the backhand shot. Rebound, they score! Alexei Kovalev cashes on the short-handed chance. 4-4 with 3:53 to go.
Well, this is a strong backhand by Andrei Kovalenko. Look at the balance here. Watch the backhand. Coffey's all over him. He gets a lot of wood on that shot. And Kovalev puts it home. Martin Brodeur, no chance, he's down. But I'm amazed at how much Kovalenko was able to get on that backhand. He must have a pretty straight stick cord. That's the one I used to have.
Kovalev from Kovalenko at 16:07, and we're even at 4 with 3:53 to go. Still 1:05 to go, and the Russian penalty to Alexei Yashin. And Verbeek tries to clear it up off the glass, but it goes out of play. So we mentioned the shorthanded opportunities for the Russians, and they come through to even this game at 4. And Boris Mikhailov, now this is unusual. I mean, we were used to watching Viktor Tikhonov. I mean, he smiled once a decade. Boris Mikhailov smiles once every 3 or 4 minutes.
I'm not sure Mihailov's grinning to try and get his glasses up in the top of his nose. It's a real smile, but
he's thinking he needs new glasses.
He's enjoying it.
Now Niedermeyer ahead for Coffey. Coffey. And the pass is offside. What a year in Russian hockey. We talked about all the upheaval there. At one point during the season last year, Viktor Tikhonov was replaced as the coach of the former Central Red Army team. Tikhonov went to court and actually turned up with armed guards and took over the dressing room. It took soldiers to evict Tikhonov and his guards from the room.
And I chatted with Tikhonov at the World Championships in Vienna, and he was telling me, or the guy next to him was telling me, Gord, that it was actually the defense minister that relieved him or retired him from his job. It's an amazing story.
Coffey looking for Pat Verbeek. 30 seconds to go on the Russian penalty. Igor Larionov looking for a shorthanded chance, but Brodeur comes out quickly. And the Russians changing penalty killers. A chance for Canada here. Scott Niedermeyer moving across the line. Niedermeyer goes offside at the Russian line. One thing Glenn Sather has emphasized for Canadian defensemen is to jump into the play. And for a player like Scott Niedermeyer, it's been kind of a welcome experience, although he says he's not really remembering how to do it. It's been a while. He plays in New Jersey, and Jacques Lemaire does not like his defensemen to get involved in the rush.
Well, Scott Niedermeyer loves to be up in the play. Type of character. Play a free-flowing style that's aggressive and offensively designed. And does that sound a little bit like the Edmonton Oilers of the 80s, late 70s and 80s? Sure does. And I think we've seen a bunch of that tonight.
Malikov goes back and icing the call now against Canada with 11 seconds to go to the Canadian power play, misfiring badly, having given up a shorthanded goal. Now forced back with 11 seconds into its own zone. Well, Glenn Sather truly does believe in offensive hockey, even though a couple years ago his team wasn't really well suited to it. He was a part of the rules committee that tried to open the game up. Sather believes in creativity. He believes in players moving the puck up the ice quickly, the quick transition game, and he's long admired Russian players who were excellent at doing it. Jamnov steps in for the draw now against Keith Primo. And Jamnov had to give him the edge on that draw. And time winding down, this Russian penalty. 4-4 is the score, 2:50 to play. Tverdovsky with a shot right on. Brodeur made the stop. And Jamnov chips it back for Malikov. Lindros hammers Yashin, in fact knocks him into the Canadian bench. Now Lindros looking for the puck, who was in his skates, and Yashin brings it back. His pass for McGillney is behind him. Primo brings it back. Keith Primo across the line for Claude Lemieux. Puck to the front of the net. Trefilov makes the save as Keith Primo was bearing down on him. 2:19 to play here in the third period.
How many quality hits has Eric Lindros had tonight? Boy, they're double figures, there's no doubt about that. Here's a hit on Yashin. Alexei Yashin, he's just overpowered by Eric Lindros, almost tossed into the bench. And Alexei Yashin's very strong on his feet. So that gives you a pretty good indication of how strong Eric Lindros is.
Just ask players around the National Hockey League who have been rattled by those checks. Brent Sather said last year, it used to be a big defenseman was 6'1", 200. He says Eric Lindros has changed the definition of big.
Wayne Gretzky will line up with his feet straight, but 3 times now in this game he's gone forward on the left-hand face-off circle and almost put it in.
I've seen him score like that.
See him line up, though. He lines up to show, I'm going to pull it back, and then often he goes forward.
Tried to pull it back, but the draw was won by Alexei Yashin. Kept in by Blake. Down low for Damphousse. He's being worked over by Zhitnik. And Yuskevich brings it back. Fleury couldn't contain the bouncing puck. And Yuskevich gets it back for the Russians. Ahead for Yashin. For Kovalev. Sends it back in front. Martin Brodeur makes the stop. Fleury ahead for Gretzky. Here come Fleury, Gretzky, and Damphousse. Fleury drops for Gretzky. Back to Fleury. Fleury front of the net. Now the wraparound side of the net. Trefilov made the stop. And I think it got tied up in the equipment of one of the Russian players. The puck disappeared into Alexei Zhitnik.
Now you talk about tic-tac-toe. These two guys, Theo Fleury and Wayne Gretzky. Look at the give go. Give. Watch here. Go. Give. Right back. Great pass by Gretzky to Theo Fleury. He just doesn't have enough room, and this goes right into Zhitnik's equipment. That's why the whistle's blow. Now imagine the centerman here, Gord. You start off with Gretzky on the face-off, then you get Mark Messier on the same face-off in the offensive zone, and if that works again, you get Lindros. Boy, they're strong up the middle.
8 of Canada's forwards play center in the National Hockey League. Now the puck ahead for Igor Larionov. Larionov drops for Kozlov. Kozlov hooked down from behind by Messier. No penalty. Now Messier. Moose, moose, they yell. I never thought I'd hear a Calgary crowd applaud Mark Messier. They did warmly in the pregame introductions. And here again. Here comes Kasparaitis, hit by Brind'Amour. Kozlov got it ahead for Larionov. For Kovalenko, Coffey broke that up for Niedermeyer. 5 minutes of play in the third period. Messier for Niedermeyer. Rod Brind'Amour has it now. Brind'Amour tees it up along the boards, and now Lemieux picks it up for Canada. McGillney with it. Centers it. And Gonchar has it. We've been told there will be a 5-minute overtime period here tonight. That's the tournament rule. And McGillney picks it up. Jamnov sends it around. And McGillney battling for it there. It's picked up. Keith Primo knocked it away. Claude Lemieux trying to pick it up. 20 seconds to go here in the third period. McGillney has it. Tverdovsky for Malikov. Back to McGillney. kids are out there again. Nikolition for Zhamnov. Zhamnov working on Stevens. Stops for Nikolition. The shot. Brodeur the save. Rob Blake throws it behind the net. Zhamnov for Tverdovsky. His shot blocked by Stevens. And time expires here in the third period. 4-4, Canada and Russia.
Well, somehow you knew that Canada was going to get back in. It started the second period with the big hits and the third period with the tie as far as goals. But Russia, equal to the task, came back. And this is going to be an excellent overtime.
And the crowd applauding the news that there will indeed be a 5-minute overtime. 4-4, Canada and Russia are tied.
When you need a sealant that's got to stick, Mono Ultra does the trick. Mono Ultra. When it calls for the best, the choice is clear. There won't be anything like it for years. Mono Ultra. It works in the sun. It works in your shower. You wash up with water and make it an hour. Whatever the kitchen surface, nothing sticks to the job like Mono Ultra. And it's mildew-proof in the bathroom. Mono Ultra. Get the Mono.
If you want full Office Suite power at a word processor price, look no further than Corel WordPerfect Suite. Corel WordPerfect Suite includes an exceptionally intelligent word processor, an award-winning spreadsheet, amazing presentation graphics, plus business graphics and utilities, hundreds of fonts and thousands of clip art images. Corel WordPerfect Suite delivers Office Suite power at a word processor price.
Welcome back to our World Cup of Hockey Control Center, and I ask you this question: why is there overtime when Canada has to play tomorrow night and it's just an exhibition game?
Well, logic might suggest that they shouldn't be playing overtime, but ours is not the reason why. Just, what, do or die? What is it?
I think that's how the phrase goes.
Whatever.
But I think it's inconsequential whether Canada wins this hockey game or not. Do you see enough positives? Are they doing what they want to do?
At this point in time, I'm not so sure. It'd be nice. I'm sure Canada wants to win. They want to get something going here in overtime and get something to build on. Yeah, I think they've got so much to build on already. Eric Lindros has played a great game. Martin Brodeur, after a bit of a shaky first period, came up with 2 big saves in the third period. I'm going to be very interested to see in overtime if Glenn Sather goes to his bench. Steve Yzerman, Rod Brindamore, Trevor Linden have played some tonight, but not nearly as much as the other 3 lines, and I'll be interested to see whether Sather will go to the bench and use those guys, fresh legs in overtime, with the game going tomorrow night against Slovakia in Edmonton.
And it's nice to see Martin Brodeur playing well. He made a couple of enormous saves in that third period. Immediately following tonight's hockey game, Sports Desk. Well, let's return to Calgary for OT.
All right, thanks very much, guys. You can see that Bob McKenzie didn't spend the summer reading the classics once again. I think he was padding around in the pool. Big Eric Lindros comes back on the ice. A 5-minute overtime period here, and Team Canada went ahead 4-3 on this goal by Adam Graves, who knocked down the pass from Pat Verbeek, but then short-handed Alexei Kovalev. Great work by Kovalenko to fight off Coffey, and then good work by Kovalev to fight off Theoren Fleury to bring us where we are now, even at 4. I think the crowd's exhausted. I think a very good hockey game has worn them out, because they kind of hit the wall there with about 5 minutes to go in the third period. Now Claude Lemieux with it. I think both teams have made interesting points tonight. It'll be watched on Thursday. Now the shot. Primo tried to tip in Niedermayer's blast, but it went just wide. Russians have established that their penalty killing might be outstanding with a couple of short-handed goals tonight. Now Bure. Valerie Bure back for Yuskevich. Dmitry Yuskevich working in on Coffey. Sends it over for Bure. Couldn't handle the pass. And Lindros clears it not out. Jitnik with a shot. Rebound. Loose puck. Here comes Yuskevich. Couldn't get the shot away. It's blocked by Coffey. Furious pressure by the Russians here in the opening minutes of overtime. Yashin working on Niedermayer. And the puck is cleared out by Scott Niedermayer. Canada has outshot the Russians 40-27 in the hockey game. Here's Darius Kasparaitis, watched by Gretzky. So Sather has not gone to his bench yet. Dan Post pushes to an open wing. Here comes Slava Kozlov with it. Kozlov with Larionov and Gonchar. Here's Kovalenko with it now. Drop pass. Kozlov the shot. And Martin Brodeur makes the stop and falls on the rebound.
Brodeur's make 2 or 3 saves here in overtime. One I'm looking for spectacular is a deflection in front of Brodeur, and I think he followed it and found it. You know, I'm pretty impressed with Brodeur. Now, Gord, it's interesting. You look at the GMs and coaches that'll get together here for Team Canada. Will it be Martin Brodeur that begins the tournament? Is it the hottest goalie you picked? You already have your goalie in mind. Lots of questions.
Here's Kasparaitis leaving at the line for Gonchar, who slides it down to the corner. Too far for Kovalenko. Kozlov got hit by Blake. And Blake, known as an offensive defenseman, can also hand out the hits. He is a very effective hitter. Verbeek working on Kasparaitis, gave him a whack, and that battle continues. Kozlov, long lead pass now for Gonchar. Gonchar trying to get around Scott Stevens, but Blake was there to pick up the puck when he did. Blake for Stevens. Pass for Graves, and that pass is knocked down. Malikov lost it to Trefilov. Now Verbeek working down deep. Gonchar ahead for Kovalenko. This line's been on the ice for about a minute and a half. Larionov for Nicolishin. Andrei Nicolishin. Poke check by Linden. Here comes Coffey with it for Canada. For Rod Brind'Amour. Now Zhamnov tips it back for Tverdovsky. And the teams look exhausted too. Remember, both teams have had rigorous travel schedules. The Russians played 2 nights ago in Detroit. And Team Canada played back-to-back games against the United States. Now Brind'Amour for Lindros. Brind'Amour looking for Linden. The pass was behind him. Now Brind'Amour. Lost the puck. Back to the line is Niedermayer to save it for Trevor Linden. He's poke-checked off the puck by Nicolishin. And Team Canada clears it back in. 2 minutes to go in overtime.
Interesting to look at the two good teams, probably the two best teams in the preseason or pre-tournament. Russia ties this game, Gord. They remain undefeated. Not a bad record even without Bure and Fedorov.
Yeah, a lot of questions about where Pavel Bure is. All the Russians would say is that he's on personal business. There's been some speculation that he's in Vancouver getting his knee checked out. No confirmation of that.
Well, I had a confirmation that he was in Vancouver and that he was having it looked at, but they would meet him tomorrow with no problem. They were very happy with the 3 games that he played, and they were just going to have it looked at.
Now Damphousse. Ahead for Gretzky. Gretzky lost the puck momentarily, and it went off Gretzky's stick as Yushkevich cleared it up and out of play. 1:28 to go in the overtime period. Wayne Gretzky made his first international appearance for Canada in the 1978 World Junior Tournament, led the tournament in scoring at the age of 16.
Well, 16 years old, I was with Wayne Gretzky at that training camp and played in '78. We should have had a better end result than we did. We ended up with bronze, but Wayne Gretzky was a revelation. Here's a young kid that came in and led the whole tournament scoring at 16, turning 17, and what a career he's had.
What was your first thought when you saw him?
I thought he was maybe a little, people around our team thought he might be a little bit small or frail to play, but I don't think any of us players felt that. We knew how talented he was, and we were sure glad to have him on our team.
Now Verbeek throws it in the corner for Messier. Hammers Yushkevich. Dmitry Yushkevich has played a strong game for the Russians tonight. Messier with it. Waiting. Sends it in front off a skate. Verbeek couldn't get his stick on it. He threw Yushkevich down. Now the puck is centered for Messier. Couldn't knock it down. Under a minute to go in overtime. Here comes Zhitnik with it. And the crowd with its last ounce of energy trying to urge Canada on. Rob Blake back to pick it up for Canada. For Scott Stevens. For Lindros, who taps it in. Lindros, Primo, and Claude Lemieux out there for Canada. Now Lindros with it, trying to center it for Lemieux, who was all alone. Couldn't get it to him. Primo centers it. Lemieux with a shot. Rebound! And Keith Primo couldn't handle it. And the Russians are able to clear the puck down the ice. Icing is the indication as Paul Coffey goes back. 19.4 seconds to play. And Canada will have a face-off in the Russian zone.
Yeah, good work by this line. You got to wonder if this line won't stay together for the tournament. Lindros, Primo, and Claude Lemieux, and they really cycle the puck because of their strength. Primo here will put it outside, and watch, he'll go to the front of the net, and it ends up on his stick. Excellent job by that Russian defenseman there. And here's a chance you get to talk about a face-off, Gord. This is the part that I love. Let's set up the offensive face-off if you're Glenn Sather. You can see Eddie Johnson talking, Mark Crawford. They're going to set things up. So one time in the game of hockey, you get to play a little bit of chess. You can win the draw to the position that you want it to go. You can actually set guys up and send them on a bit of a mission. And I think that's what's happening at the bench right there.
Team Canada is without Joe Sakic tonight. Ron Francis is also sitting down. Lyle Odeline out of the lineup. The Russians without Pavel Bure and Sergei Fedorov, who would certainly make a difference. We were talking to Ron Francis between the second and third period. He was talking about face-offs, and Ron Francis is an authority on the subject. He's one of the best face-off men in the National Hockey League, saying that it's gotten to the point now where it's like basketball. I mean, every team has set plays, and Pittsburgh practices them and practices them and practices them.
Look at the three guys that are out here, Messier, Lindros, and Gretzky, all three very capable of winning this face-off.
Messier against Larionov. One thing the Russians have never been terrific at is face-offs. And now Gretzky may move over here. They'll move Coffey over, so just one man back at the point. So Messier is going to try to pull this back to his left.
Yeah, Messier made that move. He wants Gretzky over there.
Messier, Coffey, and Gretzky out there. First played together in 1980 for the Edmonton Oilers. Messier fought to a draw by Larionov. And Kozlov now flips it ahead. Kovalenko knocked that pass down with a high stick. And play is called. And the Canadians immediately gesturing back to the Russian zone where the faceoff should be. Igor be just inside the zone.
Sorry, Gord. Igor Larionov did a good job on Messier that time. He off of the original draw, the original drop of the puck, he tied up Messier's stick, wouldn't let him go. In other words, he tied it first and then won it back.
By the way, Sergei Gonchar out there now in the Canadian room, or the Russian room today. I saw Sergei Fedorov. Said, "Hi, Sergei." And 6 guys turned their head around, including coaches. There are 6 people named Sergei on the Russian team. Messier got the draw back, but Coffey couldn't keep it in. And the first meeting between Canada and Russia at this World Cup ends in a draw. And Lindros ends it as he takes a run at Kovalenko. So some bad blood at the end of this game. And a stick wound up in the crowd. The next time they meet, it'll be for real. It'll be the opening game for both teams in the World Cup Thursday in Vancouver.
Well, both teams have got lineup changes to look at. You know that number 88, Lindros, even after the whistle here, continues through on his hit. And you know he'll be in the lineup, but who else will be in the lineup? The Russians are, probably be Bure. Certainly will know Pavel Bure, unless there's a problem, will be playing. And as will Sergei Fedorov. And there'll be 2 very strong players to add to this Russian contingent. I talked to Slava Fedosov before, just actually between periods, but Fedosov says this is maybe the strongest Russian team since the Olympics that were played here in Calgary when Russia was successful.
And Alexander Mogilny, a member of that gold medal winning team in 1988. What does the World Cup hold for the Russians? And you have to consider that as the Canadians have spent their summer relaxing and getting in shape, the Russians have had a lot more things to worry about than getting ready. So Wayne Gretzky and the Canadian Warriors, 9 players over 30 on this Canadian team, playing a tough schedule. Tonight, a tie in overtime against the Russians. Tomorrow night, they play in Edmonton against Slovakia. The tournament opens on Thursday. Let's go to announcer Russ Peak for the post-game ceremony.
Hockey, Nike, Air Canada, Bauer, and Esso. Representing Nike is Vinny Gomes. Representing Esso, Trevor Dick. Representing Air Canada is Graham Edwards. And representing Bauer, Jack Gregory. Making the Team Russia Player of the Game presentation on behalf of Air Canada is Graham Edwards. The Team Russia Player of the Game, number 27, Alexei Kovalev. Now making the Team Canada Player of the Game presentation is Vinny Gomes on behalf of Nike Canada. The Team Canada Player of the Game, number 88, Eric Lindros. Canadian Hockey, Air Canada, Esso.
Eric Lindros, Team Canada's player of the game. What did this game prove? It proves that whenever Canada faces Russia, whether it means something or not, it should be a pretty good hockey game. It was a 4-4 overtime tie.
Ooh, that looks sore. I know what the doc will be recommending for you. Deep Cold Therapy. It works like ice. Deep Cold eases a pain of sore muscles. In fact, it's the best-selling cold rub on the market.
Deep Cold Therapy, effective ice pain relief.
Kids. Darn kids. Darn kids. Darn kids. Kids. Darn kids. Darn grown-ups.
Thank you for making McDonald's Arch Deluxe the country's favorite new burger.
I don't know what that
But please, keep Canada beautiful.
It's out there. Esso Supreme 92 Octane. For a cleaner engine while you drive. A smooth feeling of power. Esso Supreme 92. Unleash the performance. With Esso.
Air Canada, premier sponsor of Canadian hockey. Backing the teams, the players, and their passion for hockey. Watching our future superstars take off. For over 25 years, we've been in on the action. The excitement of hockey in Canada, from midget to junior to pro. And they've shown us that if you want something bad enough, there's no limit to how far you can go. Air Canada, official airline of Canada's national passion. The back position. Oh, what a tragedy!
TSN and Canadian Hockey are proud to present the 1996 World Cup of Hockey from Calgary, Alberta. Brought to you by Air Canada, the official airline of Canada's national pastime. By Imperial Oil and Esso Retailers and Associates, coast to coast. By Nike, just do it. And by Bauer, leave an impression.
Tonight was a great hockey game. Tomorrow, the World Cup of Hockey officially begins, and we'll be there as we take you to Stockholm, Sweden. Sweden's best play host to Germany. We are on the air at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. From all of us here, including Bob McKenzie and myself, thanks for watching tonight's hockey game. Sports Desk is coming up next.
Ahead on TSN Sports Desk, we tip our hats to the winner of the first Greater Vancouver Open. Who said anything about exhibition? Ed Jovanovski makes a punishing debut for Team Canada as Al McGuinness steps aside. The stakes were high at the Breeders in Toronto as Chief Bearhart edges the competition. Todd Woodbridge and Wayne Ferreira battle it out in the final of the Du Maurier. The Expos look to extend their wild card lead in San Francisco, while the Jays try to win their 8th straight. Jacques Villeneuve had the pole, but was it enough to capture the Belgian Grand Prix? Hey, take us home, Spot. Sports Desk is next.
Hello, everyone. We hope that you enjoyed the World Cup of Hockey here on TSN and your weekend. I'm Teresa Cruz.
And I'm Rod Smith.
This sports break is brought to you by Kellogg's, the best to you each morning.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jim Van Horn at the TSN Newsroom. After 13 seasons in the NHL, the last 5 plagued by hip and knee injuries, Cam Neely of the Boston Bruins announced his retirement today. Neely missed the last 25 games of the 1995-96 season with a hip injury. In the 92-93 campaign, he played just 9 games, missing the last 38 with a thigh injury, and the last 4 months with knee problems. He rebounded in 93-94, scoring 50 goals in 44 games. Only Wayne Gretzky did it in fewer games. In 13 seasons, Neely netted 395 goals and 299 assists. Team Canada faces Germany tonight in the World Cup. It's quarterfinal action. Michael Whalen will have a full live report from the forum in Montreal at Sports Desk coming up at 6:30 Eastern. We'll take a break, get you back to tennis right after this.
Columbia Pictures presents